All right, one of the things Brady and I started working on before St. George was two concepts. One, tilting the bat forward, which we see Barry Bonds just kind of getting a feel for right now, and two is blurring the barrel. And I'll show you what we mean. So as Bonds gets into his launch, into his load right there, you'll see that the bat is behind his head, but it's also tilted towards the pitcher. So now it's going to swivel around his hands naturally and start picking up a lot of early bat speed. So you see right there, the bat starts to blur, and right there it really starts to blur, which means it's moving fast, even though his hands and his body really haven't done much, but it's because of that angle pointed of the bat tilted towards the pitcher. So as he comes around, now as his hands move forward, now that bat, because of the swivel, is really moving fast early on, and he's able to stay in a compact swing without really doing a ton of movements. All right, what do we see here with Adrian Gonzalez? First of all, the bat is tilted towards the pitcher, and it's going to blur as the bat swivels around his hand. So he's picking up a ton of bat speed, just even right there without having to hardly do anything. Josh Donaldson with a forward tilt of the bat, and as he gets into his load, it kind of stays there tilted. Now the bat does get behind his head, but still tilted. Now this is a really high frames per second video, so you're not going to see as much bat blur because it's just taking so many shots, so many pictures every second. But you are able to see that he's able to get a lot of bat speed without doing a lot. Look at him. I mean, he's just doing this movement, loading a little bit, and then his hands are just coming through, but that barrel starts bat speed coming through fast and early. He launches that. Now here's Miguel Cabrera, and at first it looks like he wasn't going to get into that position where the bat's slightly tilted towards the pitcher, but he does, and then you start to see with very little movement, he's able to get a ton of bat blur, right? Just rewind it. So starts right here, no tilt. There's the tilt. His elbows up, and then he starts to blur the barrel with, like I said, very little arm movement, right? Okay, so here's Buster Posey inverted, right? So he's normally a right-handed switcher, but we've mirrored him, and he's normally a right-handed hitter. And so you'll see that forward tilt of the bat, right, towards the pitcher. Now the bat's behind his head, but you'll see he's tilting it forward, and then we'll see how much bat blur he picks up. Starts to really blur the barrel right there, and his hands and body really aren't doing that much, right? They're just going to start coming through, but because of that angle that he's created with his swing, really early in his load, he's picking up a lot of bat speed and then able to come through. And Buster Posey is really high slugging percentage hitter. And one of the reasons he gets this power is just leveraging that bat with that blurring the barrel early in the swing by tilting it, while he's in his launch towards the pitcher. All right, we'll look at David Ortiz, and bat is tilted towards the pitcher, gets into his load right there, still tilted towards the pitcher. It's probably behind his head as well, so it's probably tilted at 45 degrees, behind his head. But then he picks up bat blur, early in that backswing because it's tilted forward, right? And so he started to pick up a lot of speed and bat blur way back there through very little movement of his body. And so it's going to look like his hands are coming through devastatingly fast, but he's not doing a lot of movement. He just is knowing how to swivel the bat around his hands. See that swivel, early bat speed in a short, compact swing. All right, what do we see Evan Longoria doing right here? You'll watch him trying to get a feel for that tilted bat angle, right? He kind of does a little hitch right there, right? get that angle so the bat can blur and swivel around his hands. All right, what do we see with Manny Ramirez? Bat tilted towards the pitcher, and this is a really grainy video, but look at how little movement he does. You see the bat start to blur right there, and he just kind of turns, you know, and the bat, because it's tilted forward, that's going to swivel around those hands really fast and pick up a lot of bat speed early in the swing. And then when he brings his hips around and his body forward, now that momentum that started from the bat blur back here is just going to really speed up the barrel of the bat through the strike zone. Okay, Nelson Cruz, normal speed. You can't really see what's going on, but when we slow it down, does he get the forward tilt to the pitcher? Yes. Does he blur the bat early? Yeah. A lot of blur early because of that angle, so the bat's able to swivel around his hands early really fast.